Sigando, Wonso, Besson Wafu Amadra. Sigando, Zenyanso. Sigando, Wonso, Besson Wafu Amadra. Sigando, Zenyanso. Sigando, Wonfondo, Besson Wafu Amadra. Sigando, Zenyanso. Sigando, Wonso, Besson Wafu Amadra. Sigando.
Fellow members, please accept my greetings. This is the first time that I'm addressing you since my election into the office of the president of BFU-USA. I hope every one of you return home safely after the hectic and successful convention in Washington, D.C. As most of you, I learned that we had so many COVID cases after the convention. We thank God that most of these cases have recovered or are recovering very well. 2022 was a very interesting year within the history of BFU-USA. We had one of the most campaigned, the most watched, and the most engaging elections yet in the history of BFU-USA. I thank all of you for giving me the trust and the opportunity to lead this great organization. I am truly excited and looking forward to working with everyone to ensure that we accomplish the mission of the union. Together, I look forward to us empowering all the chapters to be much more relevant in the decision making of the organization. I'm equally looking at all of us engaging in designing a program, a cultural program that will leave the test of time within our organization, because culture is all that we got to sell within the American cultural complex. And I want everyone to put hands on deck to ensure that we can get that done and distinguish ourselves, since culture is the most competitive asset that we have within this organization. One thing is very, very critical, which I had so many questions and many of you have been asking, of the role of LAMCHE within our organization. I want to assure you that together we will find a very suitable and effective and much more relevant role for LAMCHE within the administration structure of BFU-USA. So I'm looking forward to engaging everyone to make sure that all of us are within the same organization and working in harmony, because BFU is a big tent and can take all of us in the mission of delivering health, culture, and education to our communities. Today, I am excited to announce members of my executive team. One of my very key considerations was the fact that any person who is serving the leadership role must belong to a chapter or must be affiliated with a chapter, because it is a chapter that makes the union move. So that was one key thing that I had to consider in selecting this young, dynamic, and very energetic and passionate members of our union. And I'm looking forward to working with them to make sure that they bring all the skills and energy for us to deliver on the mission of our union. My team is very dynamic, young, and diverse, and they're very excited about the role that they will be playing in the union going forward. To inject more energy, make leading BFU more interesting, exciting, sexy, and cool, I have recommended some changes to the titles of the organization going forward. BFU-USA is an incorporated entity and is way different from the initial organization that we had, which is a social gathering. Almost 40 years afterwards, we are stuck with titles that were given to the leadership of the team, which at the time was serving just a social function. I want to make sure that as an incorporated body, the titles that we use are reflective of the role of each and every member of our organization in the functioning of the union. As such, these titles will be currently being proposed and will be ratified at the next constitutional amendment that is coming up next year. I am making these changes to ensure that they are relevant and reflective of the role that we play and the status of our union, and equally test of times. In fact, I've asked each member of my leadership team to ensure that they rewrite the job descriptions for the roles that they are playing based on our conversation. I look forward to putting all of this together and putting my team to work on and recommend the changes in the job descriptions of each and every role that we have in the organization going forward. I believe that roles of the executive should be enriching and enticing. This should spur people to jump up and take some of those leadership roles so that we can have a much more robust conversation each time there's a need for a change in the leadership of the organization. And now, I am very, very excited to let you know who is in my leadership team. It's a very thrilling moment, and I hope you guys will be as excited as I am to welcome this young, dynamic, strong, passionate, and energetic gentlemen and women, who are ready to take up the next challenge for our organization. Welcome back. Please, here are the names of the executive members who will be serving you for the next 3 years. I am excited to introduce to you the first name on my list, and that is the Executive Vice President of BFU-USA. This position was previously titled the Vice President. I'm making it the Executive Vice President because I'm going to add additional functions that were not previously assigned to the Vice President. And this will include things like communication, marketing, fundraising, and the supervision of the rest of the executive team. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very excited to have found a partner, someone that I work with, someone that has been there with me, and is a household name that has served the union in very exemplary ways. Please welcome to Brendan Bante, your new Executive Vice President. Brenton Bante is a senior demand generation leader in the financial technology sector, as well as the founder of BB Consulting Firm, a marketing consultancy agency. Nchung has held several positions in BFU-USA, including the Secretary General, the Vice President and President of BFU-USA Minnesota chapter, as well as the National Organizing Secretary of BFU-USA. Nchung Brennan is a prominent leader within the Minnesota Cameroon Community main camp and fervent cultural ambassador of Bui culture, having taken it to the Cute people, the Native American nation in Washington State. He is the communications and cultural advisor of the Forme Fred Yiran Legacy Project and was recently invited to join the advisory board for the Customer Experience Program at Minnesota State University, Mankato. The next person on my list is the Chief Operating Officer in the person of Judith Ballon. This position was previously called the Organizing Secretary. In fact, this is the position that runs the union in terms of organizing the convention and making sure that we have a fantastic time. I am very excited that Judith accepted to serve, and many of you witnessed Judith with half the ground during the most recently ended convention in Washington, D.C. Judith brings a passion unparalleled to many within the organization. Judith is a registered nurse at the University of Maryland Medical System. She is an active member of the DC chapter and served in various leadership roles in the community, especially as executive director in the Cameroon Catholic community of the Holy Trinity Choir for over 4 years. She loves to sing and adores her culture. Next, we have the assistant to Judith, which is the Assistant Vice President of Operations. This is one of the newly elected president in BFU-USA, and in fact, he is the president of the most recently added chapter of the union, and I mean the Arizona chapter. Please welcome Elvis Sanye, who will be assisting Judith Ballon in his position as the Assistant Vice President of Operations for BFU-USA. The next person on my list is the Chief Administrative Officer. This is a position that was previously called the Secretary General. And I'm so honored and excited to have Karen Kellen Nzolem as the person who will be occupying this position. Kellen is very curious and interested in Saw culture and heritage. And for that reason, she is so humble and willing to serve in any capacity to foster the culture of Bui. He trusts her cumulative experience in working in diverse environments and support from everyone has prepared Kellen to contribute to BFU-USA in the current role. She believes and always say, if it is to be done, it is up to me to make it work, and is looking forward to all your support in fulfilling this role. The next person is the Director of Finance, previously called the Financial Secretary. This is a position that will be occupied by Kanla Nge. Kanla Nge is an HR and financial literacy professional. She is an active member of the New Jersey chapter and has served as a Likibomi Liaison Officer. Kanla has also served in other capacities such as the Financial Project Manager, the Financial Secretary, Treasurer, Cultural and Liturgy Liaison, and the Vice Chair with other community organizations such as the Africana, the DADA, ADI, among others. Next, we have the Director of Treasury Management, who was previously called the Treasurer. I am very excited that one of the most dynamic members of BFU has accepted to serve this role, and he is no other person than Gwen Kovigno Azar. Gwen is a member of the Georgia chapter and is a senior accountant at Posh North America. Gwen is an active member of the BFU Georgia chapter and previously served as the financial secretary. She was recognized in 2017 by the Cameroon community in Georgia for exceptional services to community. The next person is the Vice President, Talent and Leadership Development. This position was previously called the Youth Programs Coordinator. And let me take a step back here to explain to you why this name is very relevant, Talent and Youth Development. We have witnessed our young children grow up to being leaders within the community. And by being leaders, they were taught as kids to love and adore their culture. These kids have grown up and they are in turn passing that knowledge and energy to the young ones and bringing them up the ladder of leadership within the union. And I think the most befitting title that we can give to those who have been serving the union in this light would be the Talent and Leadership Development, because that is exactly what the youth program was doing. So I'm very excited to announce that one of our most present young lady within the house, Lillian Shulika Tata, has accepted to serve in this role. Lillian is a cloud solutions architect and delivery lead in the financial industry, a member of the New Jersey chapter and BFU-USA convention MC. Shulika is also a PhD student in information technology. Next, we've offered 2 assistants because of the prominence of this role within the organization. Shulika will be assisted first by Assistant Vice President of Talent and Development, and that position will be held by Amolen Lalaf Wisi. Amolen is a member of the Georgia chapter, and he's been very, very active and prominent for those of you who have watched the leadership, the kids programs within the convention, particularly the just ended convention in Washington, D.C., where she was very, very active in making sure that our kids were cared for and found something of great relevance within our cultural domain. I am very excited, having Amolen within the leadership team. Amolen Lalav, we say, holds an MPA and takes pride in the diligent nourishment of her connection to the culture and the earth. Currently residing in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Amolen dedicates her focus to public health and fitness within her community on a daily basis. Amolen has assisted in providing support and development opportunities to upcoming generations while maintaining her membership within her childhood chapter of BFU Georgia. The second assistant to the Talent and Leadership Development is no other person but one very active and dynamic leader from our great state of Minnesota. The position of the second assistant vice president in charge of talent and development and leadership development will be occupied by Godlove Beringe. Godlove serves in the manufacturing sector and is married and a father of 2 boys. Godi hails from Shisong in Kumbu and is a current vice president of BFU Minnesota chapter. He is an active leader of the Kumbu Strikers Football Club and Denton group in Minnesota chapter. These are some of the groups that are harboring our young men and very, very interested in promoting the culture. So we look forward to Godi and the rest of the talent and leadership development team to bring all of these young members into the fold. The next position that I have is the Vice President, Cultural Services. This position was previously called Coordinator of Culture. And I'm very pleased to announce that this position has been given to Fire Tower. Fire is a non-entity within our community and very active within the Washington, D.C. chapter of our union. Fire, as all of you know, is a community builder able to work with diverse groups and initiatives, to attain common goals. Fire Tower has been behind numerous cultural and development projects back at home in Cameroon and here in the U.S. Fai will be assisted by no other person than one of our cultural icon that we have, a woman of enormous cultural knowledge and dedication to the union. The position, which is newly created, will be the Assistant Vice President Cultural Services. And this, I am so privileged to announce to you that Yewon Fonka Fortibui accepted to serve in this role. I believe with him and Fai at the helm of our culture, we will have a regeneration of cultural activities within the union. They will, after this, I will be having conversation with them on how we can make this happen and give them the latitude to be able to create a very dynamic and vibrant cultural community within that domain. And I look forward to working with them on that. Yewon Fonka Fortibui is a proud grandmother and a retired educator, a graduate of Oxford and Cambridge, Leeds University in the United Kingdom. He has studied psychology of education, a staunch culturalist with invaluable depth of knowledge on Bui culture. Is a member of the Dallas chapter and a believer in the mission of BFU-USA. The next position will be the Vice President, Educational Services. This position used to be called the Coordinator of Education. And I am so glad to announce to you that Shea Fred Tabu has accepted to serve in this committee as the Vice President in charge of Education Services. Shea Fred Tabu is a PhD holder and is currently the New England chapter president and assistant, and he also, in his day job, is the assistant professor at the Ohio State University College of Medicine and Comprehensive Cancer Center. He is also a Fulbright alumni and studies the role of diet in cancer prevention and treatment response. Shea Tambong has strong interest in mentoring the next generation. Now we have the position of as the Vice President Health Services. This was previously called the Coordinator of Health. And this position has been handled by no other person. And I'm very honored that he offered to remain in this position. I am talking of no other person than Dr. Marcel Fomota. He served in the prior administration as the health coordinator, and he's returned his position and taking on the new position of the new title of the Vice President Health Services for BFU-USA. The person that is equally returning her position from the prior administration is the Chief Technology Officer in the person of Ben Takashu. Ben, as we know, is a household name within the union. He's currently serving us as the Chief Technology Officer, and that position, as the title has remained unchanged. Ben, as we know, is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces, and we are honored to have such a person of integrity and dedication serving us in this role. I look forward to working with Ben in making sure that we update and upgrade our website and making functionally relevant to the needs of our union. There is just this two new positions that I'll be announcing today, and it's something that I'm really very excited too about, which is because BFU is growing and we need to fashion out ways of outreach and ways of doing things differently from the past. I am announcing the position of the BFU Goodwill Ambassador. And in this position, for this year, I have two persons who are of distinguished character and leadership within our community. The first person will be Shea Richie Bale, who is a member of the Washington, D.C. chapter. Shea Bale is arguably the most decorated member of BFU-USA yet, and of this current administration. Shea Bale is an African American who traced his DNA to the grass fields of the Northwest region of Cameroon. He is a very active member of the DC chapter and served as vice chair of the 2022 DC convention. Chair Bill Ritchie was recently installed as the president of the DCSAR, which is the DC Sons of the American Revolution. Chair has also a distinguished career in the DC Metropolitan Police Department and more. He has a book, and there is more that you can read about Bill. Bill will be the Goodwill Ambassador for US. The last position that I have for today is the second Goodwill BFU-USA Goodwill Ambassador. And I'm so honored that one of our distinguished and accomplished medical doctor and a traditional title holder in the person of Shufai Tsogbati. I was so honored when I pitched this position to Shufai and he accepted to serve. And this is immediate response. I was very excited at what I hear. And I'm looking forward to working with him to make sure that BFU is moved to another level. And I'm quite confident that we will achieve something, based on our discussion with Shufai. Shufai Tsogbati, as many of you know in our community, was previously in his person known as Dr. Willibert Viban Shasha. He's a medical doctor, an MPH, LSGO, FWACS. Shufai is married with 3 children and the former president of BFU DC chapter. He is an obstetrician and a gynecologist, retired. He is also infectious disease and HIV expert and a public health physician. He studied in Cameroon, France, England, and Belgium, lived and worked in Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea-Conakry, Senegal, the US. He has provided technical assistance to more than 20 countries. One of the John Hopkins inventors of the bodysuit for the use as personal protective equipment in diseases such as Ebola. And now, here's my humble self. And thank you so much for listening. I thank you for giving me this privilege to lead this union. Many of you know me already. Many of you have read about me, but it will suffice for me to just state here that I serve within the financial sector here in the United States. And I am a vice president and senior field examiner within the banking sector. I've served as the chapter president for BFU New Jersey chapter, served as the vice chair of the National Convention Committee, and other functions within the union. And previously, I was the director of communications in the outgoing administration, and I've served as the executive editor of the Likibome magazine and Likibome Quarterly, which are some of the tools that we will be empowering and enhancing as we go forward in the marketing and the marketing of our great organization. I believe that change is something that is very necessary because we are growing, the union is changing, and we need to include that aspect of organizational growth, which is accepting change and delivering on it. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I will look forward to working with everyone, working with our chapter president and all the members, and taking all the stakeholders into consideration as we try to deliver on the platform that we have tabled before you. Thank you very much. May God bless you. May God bless BFU-USA. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.